Thank you for joining us for Faith Journeys, part of our series, Still Speaking with Ivanhoe Church. We aim to explore and nurture faith through conversations. We believe that every life offers a unique and invaluable story. Stories bind us in community and connect us with God's story. As you experience stories of those who have discovered faith in God through their encounter with Jesus Christ, may you discover insights that help you respond to God's calling in your life.
I'm Shelley Grow, here along with Pastor Kris Hewitt, hosting this episode, and we're going to turn to our guest for today. I'd like to begin by asking you to share a little bit about yourself. So if you can tell us your name and just maybe some high-level things about who you are.
Or what I am. Well, my real name is Maclyn, M-A-C-L-Y-N. And everybody said, "Where'd you get that?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, that's what my folks came up with, so that's what I got stuck with."
Is there a relative or?
No. I asked my mother one time, "Why did you stick me with that name?" And she said, "Well, your dad and I were reading a magazine, and like Saturday Evening Post or something like that, and that was one of the names in the story, and we liked it, so you got stuck with it."
That's great.
That's cool.
Yeah. That was a long time ago, of course.
Okay, so where is the Peat family from? Where were you born?
I was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, February 2nd, 1927. Yo. Almost 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, after about 2 years, the family moved to Chicago, to a little apartment in Logan Square, just off of Logan Boulevard near California Avenue, if you have any.
Yeah.
If you know where that is. There's a great big old, I've forgotten what kind of church it is, right there on the corner of Mozart and Logan Boulevard, and we lived in the basement next door to it. Lived there for a few years until my folks found a place over on Schubert Avenue, mm-hmm. near the corner of Schubert and Rockwell. The one thing I remember about that spot was one Sunday morning I was out, one summer morning I guess, out playing, and three brothers who lived in the next apartment building down Rockwell Street came by and said, "Why don't you come to Sunday school with us?"
Great.
And I said, "Oh, well, that would be nice, but I'll have to ask my mother."
Mm-hmm.
So I went in and I said, "Mom, Marty and Don want me to go to Sunday school. Can I go with them?" She said, "Sure." But she said, they're going to want some money.
Uh-oh.
So she said, "Here's 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in the basket when they pass it around." Well, back in 1927, 2 cents was quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I started going to church at the Fourth Congregational Church.
Yeah.
And I started there, I think, in about 1930 or 30. No, let's see. Must have been 31 or 32 when I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I went to that church for Sunday school and church and you name it for 70 years.
Wow.
So give us highlights from that church experience. So is that where you were married?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't get married at the church. I graduated in January of 1944, and I was in Army uniform. We had to volunteer for it, of course. I was in Army uniform by I think it was March of that year. I had met a gal that I really liked. So we started dating, and for a year or so, a couple of years. And in 1946, after I graduated from all the Army stuff, we decided we wanted to get married. I was 19 and she was 18. That was Susan's mother. And you couldn't get married in Illinois for 3 days. So we decided we didn't want to wait. We drove to Ohio, where there was no 3-day wait.
Wow.
We eloped, so to speak. Got married there. Spent I had $100 when we took off. We told my folks we were going to visit her aunt and her father, that we were going to visit the other aunt. And
you snuck off.
so we snuck off and went to Bowling Green, Ohio, rented 2 rooms in a small hotel because we couldn't get married that day. We had to wait till the next day. And so the next day we got married, and then we took off and went up to Detroit to stay with one of my Army buddies, Army friends, who I met at Michigan State College in East Lansing, and stayed with his folks for a couple of days. And then we came home and told our folks, well, Janet's mother had passed away, but her father said, "Oh, that's nice. I'm glad for you. Happy. Now you can have all of the furniture because I'm moving out."
Oh.
So he moved out, and then we went home and told my folks, and my mom wasn't too happy, but my dad said, all I remember is he said, "Did you have to get married?" Oh. I said, "No, why?" He said, "Well, I had to ask." Mm-hmm. I said, "No, we didn't have to. We just wanted to." He said, "Oh, okay." So we stayed with them for about a year or so, and till we got a place, an apartment of our own. And all this time, though, we were still attending Fourth Congregational Church in Logan Square.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, my wife and I became adult counselors for the teenage group that was called Pilgrim Fellowship. Mm-hmm. And we did that for 20 years. Wow. And during that time, I think I held every position there was in the, trustee and head of the trustees and chairman of the board. And at that time, we had a board of directors. And we did that until we moved up to Kelvin Park, okay, Chicago, which is out near Diversey and Pulaski Road. And we lived there, and we kept going to Fourth Congregational Church every Sunday. And my wife got very involved with the ladies' aid group, and every week they did their craft work and got stuff ready for the big sale once a year or twice a year, whatever it was, and on and on and on with that. But then in 1989, my wife passed away of cancer.
Did you have children with her?
We had two girls, Susan and Patty, yeah. One born in 1950, the other born in 1953. And unfortunately, Susan's no longer with us either. My wife passed away of cancer in 1989. As a matter of fact, 5 weeks to the day, I remember, from the time my mother passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not a fun fall.
Yeah, a difficult time for sure.
And then when she passed away, I had a we were still going to Fourth Congregational Church every Sunday, though. And I had a friend who was a financial advisor. And I had known him for several years. And I knew his wife, too, as a matter of fact, because we'd been to dinners together or something like that. And after my wife passed away, he Bob Circle, you know him, called and said, I'd like you to, my wife and I would like to take you to dinner. And I said, well, no, Bob, that's not necessary. And I kind of fibbed because his wife was nothing but a talking machine. And I got so sick and tired of listening to her that I didn't want to go to have dinner with him again. But he said, oh, we insist. And he said, I don't know, this was like a Thursday or something. He said, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Pick a day. So I thought, well, there's no sense in screwing up the whole weekend. So I said, well, let's do it Friday. So we met at the Michigan Shores Club, if you know where that is. It's up along the Michigan Shores someplace or other. I've forgotten where it is. Wilmette or Winnetka, one of those places.
It sounds familiar, but I can't quite place it.
So I said, okay, Bob, I'll have dinner with you Friday night. And he said, okay. So 15 minutes after that, his wife called. And she said, I hear we're having dinner tomorrow night. And I said, yes, we are. And she said, well, is it okay if I bring along a friend? And I thought, uh-oh, I've been set up.
Yeah.
Well, it was his mother that they set me up with. And we had a nice dinner, except that I said, hello, Margaret, and she said, hello, Mac. And then we said, goodbye, Margaret, and goodbye, Mac. And in between, this other woman
talked the whole time.
Just talked and talked and talked.
What was your first impression of Margaret?
My first impression was she was a very nice, as a matter of fact, very, very pretty, well-dressed, intelligent woman. From what I could gather with about 6 words of conversation with her. She was a social worker at the Presbyterian Homes in Evanston for, 20-odd years, 20-some-odd years. So we had a nice dinner, and I went home, and that was the end of that. And couple of weeks later, I thought, gee, she was a nice lady. Why don't I give her a call and see whether she'd like to have, but I don't have her phone number. So I called my buddy's wife and I said, can you give me her phone number? And she said, well, she's been waiting for you to call for 2 weeks.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, you waited 2 weeks. I would have every single day been like, where is this guy?
Well, anyhow.
Women are impatient.
So Margaret, his mother, and I went out to dinner, and I think we went out to dinner every night after that for, gosh knows how long. And we got married the following November. She had a house in Glenview, and I had a house in Skokie, so we sold those and bought a place in Riverwoods.
Okay.
Where we lived Margaret and I lived for 12 years. And she called that our enchanted cottage. It was a nice little place.
Aw.
And then it was an older house. And all that time we were still going, well, Margaret was a strong Episcopalian. I should have mentioned that. She didn't want to become a Congregationalist, and I sure didn't want to become an Episcopalian. So we alternated. We'd go to her church 1 week and mine back and forth. And we did that for a number of years. And finally, our little enchanted cottage that was about 100 years old when we bought it began to need some work, and I said, I don't feel like doing it anymore around this place. Let's find something else. So we bought a new place up in it was unbuilt. We just picked it from a model up in Indian Creek, and when we moved up there, we had to. It was too long a haul back to Fourth Church down in Logan Square, and too long a haul back to St. David's in Glenview for Margaret. So she joined a little Episcopalian church over in Wakanda, and we looked around and went to half a dozen churches in this area, and finally found this one, and that's where we're at today. End of story.
I would love to know what some of your dinner conversations were like about your different religions and why neither of you wanted to go to the other. I mean, speaking from my parents' perspective, my mom was raised Catholic and my dad was raised very conservative Christian, and she wound up leaving the Catholic Church and going with him. And I'm always very curious, like, how did you talk about religion with each other?
Well, I don't know that there was a lot of conversation about it, to be honest with you, Shelley. I think it was simply a matter of, I think we just kind of decided no, so we'll alternate, which we did for several years, and, that was okay. I just was not particularly happy with the getting up and down 14 times.
High church liturgy, yeah.
in an Episcopalian service. But
what parts of it did you appreciate?
I guess I just kind of organized it in view of my experience in the Congregational Church.
Sure.
And this was with the same God just a little bit different mechanics.
Yeah, more
And-
more in common than different. So,
Yeah,
sure.
more common than difference.
Did-
And I don't know that we ever really discussed it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It just worked for you.
Yeah, it just worked. Yeah.
That's cool. You know, as you've told us about your life journey and choosing a wife, choosing where to live, choosing where to work, how has your faith played a role in decisions that you make, and how has that guided you? Because it feels like you've had this constant grounding in always having a church and always having, you know, that community relationship. I'm just wondering how you've relied on that throughout your life.
I don't know as I ever thought about it, Shelley, to be honest with you. It's there. It's just one of those things that I've always done. It's like wearing a shirt and a tie on Sunday. I mean, I've always done that. That was the way I was raised. I'm probably going to do it all, as long as I can. I don't have an answer for that.
So, being a widower, how has your faith given you comfort during the losses of your wives, of your daughter? Can you say a bit about that?
I'm trying to think of my daily bread.
Yes.
Your
Our daily
our
bread.
daily bread.
Yeah. A little daily devotional. Yeah.
Yeah. I read that. Use that every day. And I have a friend who always sends me Advent and
Lenten devotionals.
Lenten.
Yeah.
Books.
Yeah.
You know, with stories. That's how I keep up with it.
That's a great practice, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice?
No, I don't give advice. Thank you.
Well, maybe I should thank you. I get
Yes.
enough unwelcome advice. I'll take that kindly.
Do you have a favorite hymn? Favorite church song?
Oh, I got a lot of favorite hymns.
I think so.
Yeah. To God Be the Glory is one of my favorites.
That's a good one.
I know all of the verses of that one. I know all of the verses of Eyes Have Seen the Glory. I know all the verses of I look them up in the hymnal and memorize them.
Nice.
2 or 3 other ones.
Okay.
That keeps me going,
I think so.
and I'm constantly thinking in my mind, unconsciously, hymns. Like I've been doing my night the Day of Resurrection won't go away. It's in my head, and it's been running around for every time I wake up at night. There it is.
I'll just tell the camera we've been singing that in place of the doxology since Easter. So, so Mac's ready to give an offering each time he wakes up in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a question you thought we were going to ask? You got something a story that we should have asked you to tell?
I think you know more about me than I do.
I think that you're somebody who it just really has led by example through your whole life. So, you know, like you said, you don't give advice, but I think that in your constant lunches and connections with people, I think that you've really probably changed a great number of people's perspectives over time.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mac.
You're more than welcome. There's no charge.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Faith Journeys with Ivanhoe Church. We pray that this story resonated with you, sounding new ways in which God's blessings are interwoven through your life. We as a church strive to be a people of God's extravagant welcome, inviting all people to join our vibrant, diverse, and supportive faith community. As revealed in Jesus Christ and empowered by the still speaking Holy Spirit, we lovingly welcome all people, affirming each equally into the full life and ministry of the church. You might find us in person or on our streaming services any Sunday morning at 10 a.m., and we aim to offer a warm welcome and a meaningful message. We welcome your feedback. You can find us on Facebook or our church website at ivanhoechurch.org. Blessings to you with grace and peace.